Welcome, 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 curios and weirdos. Tonight, Dorian Gray has reached the point when running no longer feels like freedom. Basil has disappeared. Lord Henry keeps dismissing the seriousness of everything. And the portrait upstairs has become the only witness that knows the full truth of Dorian Gray. Dorian says that he wants to change. He says he wants peace, and he begins to believe that if he destroys the painting, he can destroy the life attached to it. So tonight, we're not only asking whether Dorian deserves consequences, we are asking whether a person can hate what they become enough to finally face it, or whether they will destroy themselves trying not to. Mm. Let's get going, guys. Let's put Oreo Jr. back there and let's see where this tale takes us and how it ends. It's no good telling me that you are going to be good, grinned Lord Henry at Dorian as he treated himself to caviar. Okay. You are quite perfect. I hope you never change. Really? Though, Lord Henry? Dorian Gray shook his blond head and ran a tired hand through his hair. No, I have done too many dreadful things in my life. I refuse to do more. From now on, I vow to be good. You are so busy marking everything, Harry. You do not realize the importance of goodness. I want to be better. I'm going to be better.
Okay.
Then he waved his hand in a casual manner as he sat down. Enough about me. Tell me about yourself. What's going on in town? I have not been to my club in days, he said, frowning slightly and pouring himself some wine. People are still talking about Basil's strange disappearance, reported Lord Henry. The British public loves to gossip. You think my divorce and poor Alan Campbell's unaliving of himself, remember Alan Campbell, the one who got rid of the body for Dorian? Just a refresher. And poor Alan Campbell's unaliving of himself would be enough to occupy them. Instead, they are captivated by the mysterious disappearance of an artist. Scotland Yard is on the case. Okay, period. Is Sherlock too? Like, are y'all gonna call Sherlock over there? Hey.
Yeah, sure.
The British police insist that the man in the gray suit who left for Paris on the midnight train was Basil. The French police claim Basil never arrived in Paris at all. Dorian said nothing, but rose from the table and sat down at the piano. He let his finger stray across the black and white keys. He sat quietly with his thoughts before he spoke. Did it ever occur to you that Basil might have been unalive? Said Dorian.
Okay.
Okay.
Telling ourselves.
Okay. Basil was very popular and had no enemies. Why would anybody unalive him? Lord Henry wondered. I was very fond of Basil, Dorian said, with a trace of sadness in his voice. But I've heard people say he was unalived. Oh, some of the newspapers do. It does not seem at all likely to me. I know there are dangerous places in Paris, but Basil wasn't the sort of man to go to them, said Lord Henry. Basil, we about to drag this man, so get ready. Basil was very dull and had lost his genius for painting. He probably fell off a bus in Paris. How does somebody fall off a bus? I'm sorry, that's a question I got. That's okay. That's wild. What if I told you, Harry, that I unalived Basil? Asked Dorian shyly. He watched the older man intently after he had spoken, but Lord Henry did not seem shocked. I wonder Why? I would say you were lying, Dorian. It's not in you to commit murder. Crime is so vulgar. And you are not a vulgar man. It belongs to the lower classes. Anyway, unaliving is always a mistake. You should not do things you can't talk about after dinner, Lord Henry laughed. Okay, period. Dorian heaved a sigh, and Lord Henry strolled across the room and began to stroke the head of a Java parrot, a large gray feathered bird with a pink chest and a tail balancing on a bamboo perch. Yes, he sighed. Basil's painting have been quite awful these last years. Okay, we just gonna keep dragging this man up. When you and he stopped being friends, he stopped being a great artist. I think you inspired him. And artists can't afford to lose their inspirations. Then Lord Henry wondered aloud about what happened to the portrait that Basil had painted of Dorian all those years ago. I wonder what happened. You know, he said, I always loved that painting. It was Basil's best work. It captured your youth. I remember you told me it had been sent to Shelby Royal and somehow lost. What a pity. It was a masterpiece. Dorian shook his head. I never really liked it. The memory of that thing is hateful to me. And yet, though it's been 20 years since you sat for the painting, you haven't changed a bit. Play me something on the piano and tell me, Dorian, how do you manage to keep your good looks? You must have a secret. Who's your doctor? No, I'm kidding. That's today. Sorry. I am only 10 years older than you, and I am wrinkled and worn, Lord Henry sighed. Okay. You, on the other hand, look great, he added. Indeed, you look exactly the same as you did the day we met. The tragedy of old age is not that one is old, but that one is young. I don't understand that. I don't know. Like, sir, what?
One is young.
Yes. Okay, Lord. You know what? We just gonna go with Lord Henry. Wherever he go, we just gonna glance at it and just, yeah. Anyway, back to this story. You, on the other hand, look great, he added. Indeed. Oh, wait, sorry, I didn't reread it. I am not the same, Dorian insisted. But his words fell on deaf ears. Lord Henry refused to listen. He recounted all the beauty and passion, the perfection, and the good fortune of his friend's life. He said that he wished he could change places with him. Oh my God, please don't wish that. Oh God, that's how we got here.
Yeah, good idea.
He claimed that life had been good to Dorian. He said that life was Dorian's art and the art of living well. Yes, life has been good, but I'm not going to have the same life anymore, Dorian said, raising from the piano. Stop saying such ridiculous things. You don't know me at all. I think that if you did, you would turn away from me. Lord Henry was stunned by Dorian's words. He switched subjects. Good idea, sir. Chatting casually of clothes and parties. Then he looked at Dorian and said, you cannot change me, or you cannot change to me. You and I will always be friends. That is a horrifying thing, but let's keep going. Dorian's eyes narrowed as he spoke. Yet you poisoned me with a book. I won't ever forgive you for that. Promise me that you won't give that book to anyone else. It does great harm because I ain't in control of myself and I didn't went completely wild and can take no accountability. Some of that he said, some of that he didn't. Y'all can figure out which part is what. But Lord Henry refused to listen. He was a self-centered man who did not stand criticism. Okay, period. Neither do Dorian, but okay. Don't moralize, Dorian. You sound like a parent warning his children against sin. Instead, he invited, meet me tomorrow. Lady Branksome wants to discuss buying some paintings. Lord Henry thought Dorian could help her choose wisely. Okay, okay. Dorian reluctantly agreed to meet them, and Henry left. The following day was so warm that Dorian strolled the park on his way home from the Branksome's townhouse. He saw several people point at him and whisper to each other. Wonder what they were whispering about, Dorian. What you think they was whispering about? In the past, he would have been flattered by the attention. Now, he was just tired. He arrived home and found his servant waiting up for him. He sent him to bed and threw himself on the sofa in the library. Dorian was restless and agitated. He could not stop thinking about some of the things that Henry had said to him. He wondered, was it really true that one could never change? I'm going to pause. I just got to pause because, oh my gosh. Sir, it's what you wanted and you got what you wanted, Dorian Gray. Okay? You got what you wanted, sir. So the answer is yes. But let's reel it in. Let me bring it back to this book. Sorry. He suddenly felt a yearning for his lost boyhood, a time when he had been truly good. He knew that he had long since corrupted himself. Okay, he at least admitted that. And that he had exerted an evil influence on others. Okay, look at it. Look at Dorian. Look at him. Okay, hats off to Dorian for this. Okay, you're starting to see yourself a little bit. What was worse, Dorian thought, he had enjoyed ruining other people's lives. Oh. He had taken special pleasure in disgracing those who were most full of promise. That's kind of messed up. But was his life forever ruined? Was there no hope? What was responsible for his terrible ways? He blamed Lord Henry's evil book and Basil's portrait for everything. You was close, sir, but you still a little too far. But let's keep going. Maybe he'll get it. Now he knew what a monstrous thing he had wished for in eternal youth and beauty. Why had he said those fateful words? If he hadn't prayed for his wish to be answered, he might have had a better life. All his failures had been due to this. He hated his good looks and his youth. But for those two things, his life might have been truly happy. Not you choosing to do crimes, but if you hadn't had eternal youth, so I guess we taking 2 steps forward and 4 steps back. I don't know, but let's keep going. Instead, beauty had mocked him and youth had spoiled him. Dorian was finally confronting his own life, and he did not like what he saw. Sybil Vane had poisoned herself when he treated her cruelly. Her brother, James Vane, was hidden in a nameless grave in the country. That's sad. Alan Campbell had unalived himself one night in his laboratory. I wonder why Dorian, but hadn't revealed Dorian's secret that he had been forced to keep. Dorian had escaped being associated with all 3 of their unalivings. Even the unaliving of Basil Hallward had passed from public interest. He was safe there too. What weighed upon Dorian's gray mind wasn't the unaliving of themselves or the unalivings, but the living unaliving of his own soul. The plot thickens. All I want, pray, Dorian, is a new life, Lord Jesus. He would never again tempt innocence. He would be fine and upstanding. Perhaps his decision to be good could change the ugly face in the painting. Oh, okay. Y'all think he gonna be able to change? He gonna make that change, like Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror. Y'all think you're gonna be able to do it? Okay, let's see. He took a lamp from the table and crept upstairs. Yes, he would be good, and the painting would no longer terrify him. Okay. He felt as though a load had been lifted from him. He unlocked the door. He dragged the purple covering from the portrait. A loud cry of pain and disgust broke from his lips. He could not see any change. The thing was still hateful, even more than before. The eyes had a look of deep cunning, and the mouth was curved in a malicious sneer.
Okay.
The scarlet dew that had spotted the hand after Basil's unaliving seemed brighter and more like new blood. Was the red stain larger than before? It seemed to have crept like a horrible disease over the wrinkled fingers. There was even blood at the feet, as though the thing had dripped. Okay, girl, it's a mess. And even on the hand that had not held the knife. Okay. What did it all mean? Did the painting want him to confess his many sins? Yes, sir. Stop committing them and confess them. You need to do two things at once, sir. But let's keep going. The idea was insane. What if he did? The world would laugh, Dorian decided. There was no trace of his guilt anywhere. He had gotten away with every one of his crimes. And if he told people the story of how the painting kept changing, they would call him crazy and lock him up in an institute, even though he really needs to be locked up in prison. But, you know. And if he showed it to them, who would believe such an outrageous tale about Basil's unaliving? Was it to dog him all his life? Was he ready to confess? Never. Dorian made a fateful decision. He refused to be burdened by his past, ever. There was only one piece of evidence against him, the painting. He would destroy it. He had only kept it because it gave him pleasure to watch it grow old. Lately, he felt no such pleasure. The blasted painting had kept him up at night. When he was away, he had been terrified that someone else might see it. The painting had brought sadness to his passions. Its very existence had destroyed moments of joy and happiness. It had been like a bad conscience to him. He would destroy that conscience and start fresh. Okay, y'all. He looked around and saw the knife that had stabbed Basil Hallworth. He had cleaned it many times until there was no stains left on it. It was bright and it glistened. As it had unalived the painter, so it would also unalive the painter's work and all that it represented. It would unalive the past. And when that was unalive, Dorian Gray would be free. He would unalive this painted monster and he would be set free. He seized the knife and stabbed the picture with it. There was a terrible cry and a crash. The cry was so horrible that the frightened servants ran upstairs. Two gentlemen who were passing in the square below stopped and looked up at the gray house like, girl, what is all that screaming and hollering? They ran to get a policeman and brought him back. They rang the bell several times, but there was no answer. Except for a light in one of the top windows, the house was all dark. Inside, the servants were talking to each other in low whispers. The old housekeeper was crying. Francis was as pale as a ghost. Still, he, the coachman, and the footman crept upstairs. The policemen and the other servants followed. They knocked on the door. but there was no reply. Finally, they got on the roof and dropped us to the balcony and kicked in the windows. When they entered, they found a splendid painting of the 20-year-old Dorian Gray. With all his youth and handsome features intact, lying on the floor was an unalive man with a knife in his heart. He was withered and wrinkled and horrible to look at. It wasn't until the servants examined the rings on his aged fingers that they realized it was their employer. Dorian Gray had changed places with his own picture. Woo, y'all. Curios, widows, woo, baby. Let's just go on and conclude this real nice and do our final to-dos here. So, Dorian believed the picture was the thing keeping him trapped. It carried his guilt, his age, his cruelty, and every part of him he could no longer bear to look at. So when he stabbed it, perhaps he thought he was going to end a nightmare. Remember, he was saying all this. Perhaps he thought he was choosing freedom. But the painting was never separate from him, just as none of the things we do is separate from us. It was the only place where his inner life and outer life were still connected. And when he destroyed that connection, the beautiful image returned to the canvas, while Dorian's body finally revealed everything he had been carrying inside. Maybe Dorian's final act was not only hatred or denial. Maybe it was the desperate act of a man who wanted to change, but still did not understand that healing requires truth, confession, and repair, not destruction. But what do you guys think? Scott, Oreo Jr., and I are curious to know, what did you learn from this? And we're going to kick that can right to you, Scott. What did you learn?
All right. Well, I won't be as elegant as yours, but it's kind of like about, it's not the beauty on the outside is all superficial, but it's the beauty or the ugliness inside that's what matters.
Yeah. My conclusion is maybe the final tragedy was not that Dorian had no conscience. Maybe it was his conscience returned only after he had forgotten to live with it. Do with that what you may. Did you have anything else?
I do not.
Okay, I got one more little thing because we did just conclude Dorian Gray, which we finished another book, y'all. We smart around here. So I want to introduce our next book. It'll be coming tomorrow, and don't look at how raggedy it is. I'm gonna get a little tape and fix that up. So now that Dorian Gray has finally faced the portrait he spent his whole life trying to avoid, running from it, we're trading Victorian corruption for a teen terror, baby. Next up is R.L. Stine's The Thrill Club, where, similar to us, you know how we got this little fun, spooky book club, weirdo book club? A group of friends tells scary stories for fun until somebody starts turning them stories into real unalivings of the group. Uh-oh, girl.
Oh, no.
Now that's not us. That's not what we're doing here. We do something different, but we're going to read about it. So y'all imagine your little book club becoming evidence. So guys, grab your comfort pads and a flashlight because it's about to get messy on Old Fear Street, okay? So y'all join us tomorrow. We're going to start our next to-do.
All right.
So with that, though, guys, we are going to conclude this live. Oh, let me get Oreo Jr. So as always, guys, we enjoy spending this time and finishing this book up with you guys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Check out some other live shorts, videos, and all that fun stuff. But for now, we're going to bid you adieu. So from wherever we are, even when we still trying to run from our conscience and we can't figure it out and we mess up and we end up like the thing we messed up, to wherever you guys are, peace, love, and happiness. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.